What's up, everybody? I'm QB for Culturalist Theory, and today we are covering the catalog of the multi-platinum, 7-time Grammy-winning superstar Toni Braxton. She's recorded 8 solo studio albums, and we're not going to be counting this one or this one. Please don't forget to hit those like, subscribe, and share buttons, or the super thanks if you're feeling in a really good mood. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. Number 8, Libra. If you have a career long enough, eventually you're bound to drop a dud somewhere along the line. For veteran singer Toni Braxton, her biggest one came in the form of 2005's Libra, which was released less than 2 weeks ahead of her October 7th birthday. And in this case, unfortunately, the scales were definitely tipped more towards curse than a gift. The album initially entered the Billboard 200 at number 4, eventually going gold, with the Scott Storch-produced lead track and single Please by far being the best song. And that's where all the good ends. Libra doesn't feel like a true Toni Braxton album. It lacks any real feeling at all, to be honest. There are no tearjerkers, no rising above the valley lows of another failed romance type of songs anywhere to be found here. And it's one thing to sample, but it's another thing when it's done so lazily. Finally uses that same sample that Faith Evans' Heaven Only Knows did a few short years ago, although incorporating her past song titles and phrases into the narrative was a slick touch. What's Good jacks the same music Tupac used for Dear Mama, and Take This Ring rhymes with and sounds eerily close to A-Marie's One Thing, released just months prior. Yeah, both of the latter tracks were produced by Rich Harrison, but come on fam, we can't let this one slide. Check this out.
This one thing that got me tripping, it did. This one thing that so made me feel it. It's this one thing that did.
Counting as her only album with the Black Ground Records imprint, Toni herself has likened Libra to that one-night stand that you just don't talk about. Damn, we're gonna abandon this unbalanced mess like Brenda did that baby way back when and move right along. Number 7, Spell My Name. Toni Braxton's latest album is short and sweet just like its creator, clocking in at a mere 35 minutes. It includes not one, but 2 adult R&B chart toppers, Gotta Move On, featuring a guitar solo by her, and lead single Do It, tying her with Alicia Keys for the most #1s on said chart since its inception in 1993. And don't worry, the Missy Elliott remix version is present as well. Happy Without Me and bonus track Nothing are decent enough, but when there's only 9 tracks and a remix to digest, if every single track isn't straight fire, you can't help but feel let down a bit. There aren't any outright bad songs, but there's also nothing exceptional here to keep your attention. I mean, give it a quick spin if you need some newer Toni in your life, but her earlier music is much more satisfying. Number 6, Sex and Cigarettes. Continuing her label hopping since the Libra era, Toni breaks her 8-year solo album hiatus with the one-and-done project for Def Jam, Sex and Cigarettes. A few years removed from her 2013 divorce from former Mint Condition member Carrie Lewis, she had plenty of experiences to draw even more pain from to sing about. Truly fed up with the BS at this point, she made that crystal clear on an aptly titled FOH, standing for exactly what you think it does. It's definitely the song that garnered her only album with a parental advisory label. And coming home late at night, straight in bed, smelling like the album's title, Sex and Cigarettes, is another reason for her pure disgust. The lead single Dead Wood was well received and is alright, but the Grammy-nominated follow-up Long As I Live was even better, earning her an NAACP Image Award for Traditional Outstanding Song and another #1 hit on the adult R&B charts. However, best song on this 8-track set goes to My Heart, finding Toni doing what Toni does best, sad love ballads with a contemporary sound. The final 2 songs, Coping and Mission, try to sound upbeat amongst their sad lyrics, but come out like an odd, mushy mess. Regardless of losing all 3 of its Grammy nods, Sex and Cigarettes is still a decent addition to her catalog. Number 5, More Than a Woman. Toni's 4th album released in November 2002, shortly after she discovered she was pregnant with child number 2. Because of that, there was next to no promotion for it, with Neptune's produced Hit the Freeway featuring Loon being the lone single put out. Babysis Toni Braxton co-wrote on about half of the project and also contributed background vocals throughout. Their best vocal moments can be heard on Always, Selfish, and Rock Me Roll Me. Then Toni shows off some of her sexier side on Tell Me, where she guarantees satisfaction with her lingerie, toys, pole dancing, and some more stuff. We get the feeling she was upset she couldn't do a video for this one, making up for it years later on the video for Hands Tied. Do You Remember When is another good one here, easily a candidate for repeat playbacks and playlists. Tired of being the nice girl all the time, Lies, Lies, Lies sound like nothing we've heard from Toni before, but in a good way. There are some misses, of course, by way of And I Love You, Better Man, and Give It Back featuring Manny Fresh and Once Upon a Time boyfriend Birdman of the Big Timers. As for the ill-timed Me and My Boyfriend track, where of course Jay-Z and Beyonce had their own twist of the Machiavelli classic at the same time, I don't think we have to spell it out for you which version was better. While More Than a Woman was a step back in overall quality for Toni, there's still more to enjoy on this project than not. Although most fans know of the Braxton sisters from their reality TV show Braxton Family Values, they were on the scene well before then. Originating as a quintet, they signed to Arista Records in 1989 before being dropped 2 years later post-failure of their single Good Life. Toni was soon singled out to join the newly formed LaFace imprint helmed by Babyface and L.A. Reid. Trina, Tamar, Tawanda, and Tracy, RIP to her, would do backing vocals for Big Sis before getting a shot to create their own project on Atlantic Records. However, the timing couldn't have been worse, as Tracy was MIA due to her pregnancy, and the album titled So Many Ways was released in August of '96, right when Toni's sophomore album Secrets was scorching the charts. Believe it or not, there was even a remix to the album title track featuring a young man born S. Carter. If you're one of the 5 people out there who've actually heard the album or plan to seek it out, tell us which songs you like best. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 4, Pulse. Toni bounced back in a major way from her prior effort that we're no longer mentioning by name. 2010's Pulse can be considered a return to form, as well as being her most upbeat and happy album to date. No longer playing the victim card as hard as she'd been known to, going straight to the singles Looking at Me and Make My Heart if you're looking to get the party started. The latter incorporated a single that another rapping big man from Brooklyn, not named Biggie Smalls, used on a single of his in the early 90s. Drop a line in the comments if you know what it is. Hands Tied is another great ballad that only Toni could pull off, not to mention a very interesting concept of pleasing someone hands-free. What do you know that the general public doesn't know, Toni? Hero and No Way are also standouts on the album. Closeout track, Why Won't You Love Me, is a great song to play when you're in your feelings about not getting the love that you need. As for skips, go directly past the title track and Wardrobe. The deluxe version is also worth checking out, most notably Caught, Don't Take Your Hat Off featuring comedian Monique. How is it that Toni continually picks out guys who can't be true, that be slacking in their macking on the regular is beyond us at this point. But hey, it makes for great music, doesn't it? Pulse entered the hip hop and R&B charts at the #1 spot, but quickly fell in the weeks following and was her only album released through Atlantic Records. Number 3, Secrets. The follow-up to her highly successful self-titled debut album arrived in the summer of '96 and continued to build on her rock-solid foundation from 3 years prior. Babyface and Toni went straight for the listener's heartstrings on Secrets, with plenty of songs that'll keep you feeling some kind of way. If her signature Grammy-winning classic Unbreak My Heart doesn't make you close your eyes and clench your fists with emotion before the song is over, then something may be seriously wrong with you. The Kenny G saxophone-backed How Could an Angel Break My Heart is another absolute tear-jerking, goosebump-giving ballad that will have you playing it over and over again. You can feel Toni's sadness rub directly off on you through There's No Me Without You, especially when she breaks it down towards the end. Unfortunately, there's no music video for this one. Easily a candidate for the classic 90s aesthetic of being in the rain, down on her knees with her makeup running all over her face to really get her point across. R. Kelly wrote and produced the heartfelt mid-tempo ballad I Don't Want To, which feels similar to the aforementioned song. The lead single and most upbeat song here by far, You're Making Me High, ended up being her first song to top the Billboard 100, the hip hop and R&B charts, and snag a 4th consecutive victory in the Best Female R&B Vocal category in 1997. Eventually, Secrets was certified over 8-time platinums in the States, with sales topping 15 million worldwide. Aside from Come On Over Here and Talking in His Sleep, this is another classic 90s R&B album that you can let play through uninterrupted. Number 2, The Heat. After resurfacing from a bankruptcy and contract dispute with her record LaFace.
3 weeks later.
Toni's year 2000 project, The Heat, was the final piece in a trilogy of major victories for the Maryland-born songstress. Yeah, we know. How does one go from selling over 20 million records worldwide to going bankrupt? Fellow label mates TLC were asking themselves the same question. It's a whole different conversation for a whole nother video. Speaking of TLC, the late Lisa Left Eye Lopez dropped a hot 16 over an early Jazzy Fizzle product shizzle entitled Gimme Some, which is an upbeat feel-good jam. The Diane Warren writing and David Foster production combo did wonders for Toni on Spanish guitar and I'm Still Breathing, with the latter acting as a sequel to her Grammy-winning hit Breathe Again, as Toni's highly emotive vocals bring life to both songs. Lead single He Wasn't Man Enough For Me nabbed the singer yet another R&B female vocal performance Grammy win in 2001. Just Be a Man About It is another great track, with Toni responding in song to Dr. Dre's phoned-in reasons as to why he can no longer be with her. The repeat-ready instrumental The Art of Love Love is a perfect soundtrack for saucy late nights and early mornings, while Maybe sees Miss Braxton spitting her lines with a sped up flow that actually came out pretty dope. Being more balanced and less ballad heavy than her first two efforts, The Heat only cools down toward its end and is overall an excellent body of work. Number 1, Toni Braxton. After getting her feet wet on the soundtrack for the 1992 film Boomerang with Give You My Heart featuring Babyface, and more notably Love Should Have Brought You Home, Toni delivered her self-titled full-length LP in the summer of 1993. Both songs were originally intended for Anita Baker, who had to pass on them due to her pregnancy. And the rest, as they say, is history. Literally just over half of the songs got radio airplay and, apart from I Belong to You, music videos as well, a feat even some of the most established artists could only dream of. Not only that, the album topped the Billboard 200 and secured her Grammy wins for 3 consecutive years. Let's see. Best New Artist and Best Female R&B Performance for Another Sad Love Song in 94, Breathe Again taking the same category in 95, and I Belong to You grabbing the gold for, you guessed it, the same category in 1996. Can anybody say 3P? But besides all the accolades, the now classic songs here are simply easy to enjoy, with Toni's voice and emotions carrying the album all the way through. Who wouldn't be done with their so-called partner after not hearing from them for 7 whole days? I do not bop to those chill vibes on How Many Ways. Even lesser known tunes like Love Affair and Candlelight still sound good 30 years later. With 10 million units sold worldwide, it's safe to say that Toni established herself quite well the first time out, not unlike how Mariah Carey did with her self-titled debut 3 years earlier. Once again, it's your girl QB for Culturalist Theory, and we want to know, did we get this one right? Let us know all your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to thumbs up, share, subscribe, or super thanks if you're feeling some kind of generous. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.